Jamie Metzl joins us now live. He's a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, a former staff member for the National Security Council in the Clinton administration. Joining us now from a geopolitical conference in Sea Island, Georgia. Thanks so much for being with us. The one China policy seems like a bedrock diplomatic nicety, while the U.S. and China have this enormous relationship that has financial, economic, security dimensions. Why is this nicety so important?
Well, it's not just a nicety. It's the foundation of U.S. relations with China. In 1972, in the early 70s, everybody knows about Secretary Kissinger's secret visit to Beijing. And then President Nixon visited, and what was being negotiated was who would represent China. And at that time, at the time of normalization in 1979, Taiwan lost its seat at the United Nations, and Beijing took that seat. So it's the foundation of relations between the United States and China, and it's very, very important to Beijing, and critically important. They would call it a core interest. And so, if this is being put back on the table, that's really a shot across the bow, and the Chinese predictably are taking it very seriously.
What would the U.S. gain from putting it back on the table? I mean, is it just a bargaining chip, or is there some concrete benefit that would accrue to Washington?
Well, presumably, President-elect Trump thinks that it will enhance U.S. Bargaining position to say that everything is up for grabs. But the question is this something that's so core to the Chinese and far more important to them than it is for us, that the benefit of potentially increasing the room for negotiation is far outweighed by antagonizing China? And that very much looks to be the case here, because the United States and China have a very complex, interdependent relationship, and there are so many different issues where we need to work together. If we want to put all of our chips in this struggle over Taiwan, we can, but China, at the end of the day, cares about Taiwan probably more than the United States does, and that's going to create a lot of problems.
What would China do? I mean, what's the risk to the U.S.?
Well, China has said that they're even willing to go to war to maintain the connectivity between China and Taiwan. In the 90s, when there was a question about China putting undue influence over Taiwan, the United States put a carrier battle group in the area of Taiwan, and it was a strong message to China. But since then, China has been building up its military power in order to counter exactly that type of scenario. So if there is going to be an escalation around Taiwan, the question is, will the United States have the escalation dominance that we had in the 90s that forced China to back down, or will we be tested by China's more than 20 years of preparation for exactly this kind of conflict? And again, if Taiwan isn't the core of U.S. policy towards China, it seems to me it would make much more sense to think strategically about the entirety of the relationship, and then think about the hierarchy of issues that we, the United States, would like to promote and would like to address. And Taiwan probably would not be at the top of that list.